Okay, so this video will be on 4-directional punch. This is the first form that you learn in your sequence of forms. I guess form 0 you could call it. All you need to know is the movements. There is no number of movements or meaning that you need to know. This is more of just a practice form for when you're starting out. So this form only has 2 real movements in it, the low section block with the outer forearm and the middle section punch. So we can just get started with those. So the first thing you'll be doing is junbi. So your ready stance, get ready. And then our first move, we're going to step out with our left foot and punch with our left hand on a walking stance. So this form, the walking stance, is very important. You want your shoulders square, facing straight toward your target, wherever you're aiming. So not leaning like this, but square shoulders, front leg bent, back leg straight. My back foot is pointing partially toward the direction I'm facing, not all the way, because you don't want to put too much strain on your ankle, but most of the way, and not pointing behind you. That'll be especially important on the turns. So let's get started. Our first move will be step forward, punch with the left hand, and loud kiap. So a loud yell for the start of the form. Hey! So that's our first move. So you can see I'm punching, middle section, punches straight to the center of my body, and I'm on my walking stance. Now the next move is going to be turn and block. So if you watch me, I want to imagine my front foot is nailed to the floor, so it's not allowed to move around too much. I can twist it, but I can't move it. So if you just watch me, I'm going to do the turn. I take my back leg toward the right side, come up into a chamber and a cat stance, like an intermediate stance, and I'm going to step out with my right foot. Now I'm in a walking stance facing the right of where I began. My front foot has not moved except to twist a little bit to point my toes toward my target. So from the punch, our first move, I come into my intermediate stance, blocking arm on the inside for the chamber, and step out. Low block. So the low block, I want to be crossing my body, stopping above the leg. I don't want it to be too high up here. I want it to be down, maybe about 6 inches and parallel to my leg that's out in front. Blocking with the lead arm, so whichever leg I have forward, that's the arm I want to block with. So from here, the next move is just a step forward and punch. So when we step forward, it's not as much of a step as it is a slide. So I want to slide with my back leg up into a cat stance, so an intermediate stance. I'm keeping my blocking arm out in front of me, loading up my left hand to punch at my hip, and from this intermediate stance, as I step out, that's when I punch. So here I am in my punch, punching with the left hand, just like before. My other hand back in an elbow strike, shoulders square, not leaning too far into my punch. I want square shoulders for a good walking stance. And now I'm going to be doing the same turn as before. So I keep my front foot nailed to the floor. It's only allowed to twist, not allowed to move. I'm using my back leg for this turn. So I lift my hands up in the chamber, in my cat stance, step out, and blocking with the right once again. So from here, I'm going to take a step forward and punch with my left, just like before. So step in a little and slide out into my punch. Now from here, same turn as before. My front foot is nailed to the floor, using my back foot to initiate the turn. Come up and so here's my block, and now I'm approaching the last move of the first half. We want a loud key up on this one as well. So step forward and punch with your left. Hey! So that's the last move of the first half. Take a moment, check your stance, check your elbow strike. Is your punch in the right place? Be looking forward at your target. Now the next move is just a return to center. So stepping up with your left foot. So back to where we began with this junbi stance. ready to begin the next half of the form. So the next half is the exact same, but mirror image. So this time we're stepping forward, punching with the right hand, stepping forward with the right leg. So let's hear a loud key up on the first move of the second half. Up. Hi! So checking my walking stance, my elbow strike in a punch. Now I'm going to be blocking toward my left. In the first half we block toward the right. In the second half we block toward the left. So I keep my front foot nailed to the floor, using my left foot to turn, and low block. Now I step forward and punch. Middle section punch means your arm is slanting slightly downward. So try not to punch up toward your face. There's a time for that in some of the forms, but for a 4-directional punch, it's all middle section punch. Now we're going to turn to our left once again. So keeping that front foot nailed to the floor, cat stance, and block. Now we're going to step forward and punch with our right. Now we're going to turn to our left and block. And now the last move of the entire form. So loudest key up here, you want to leave a good impression. So step forward and punch. Hey! So at this point in the form is where you really want to check your stance, check your elbow strike, make sure you've got a good punch, because this is the part where you're going to pause. The judges are going to take a look at you, see how your punch is. So even if they couldn't follow you specifically throughout the whole form, if you're at a belt test or promotion, this is the part where you stop and wait, and this is where they get that last look at you. So you want to leave a good impression with the last move, good punch, elbow strike all the way back with your pinky at the ribs, and from here you'll be commanded haro. So coming back to the center. So that's 4-directional punch. Chariot. Good.